Welcome to Forbidden Planet TV. I'm Andrew Sumner. I'm here with one of our favourite creators, the one and only Kieron Gillen. How are you, mate?
I'm good. Very lovely to be here. Thanks for having me, Andrew.
Always good to have you here. And we're here to talk about your big Marvel project, one of a number of big Marvel projects you've got, but the very high profile and soon to be published Immortal X-Men. Which anybody watching this conversation can order from the links attached to the conversation. But what can you tell me about Immortal X-Men, mate?
Well, wow, that's the big open question. Immortal X-Men is kind of, I think it's the first book coming into the Destiny of X. It's the new era of X-Men.
Yeah.
It is a book about the Quiet Council. After John left off with Inferno, as in like all the secrets are out. That's not true.
Yeah.
There's always more secrets of Krakoa, but like some of the core secrets of Krakoa are now known to the Quiet Council, and of course this creates the whole thing with enormous pressure. So it's Immortal X-Men is about these group of people trying to hold it together. That's it's the high level political book. It's about like a Krakoa project in the largest sense. I mean, my kind of like description of this thing, it's like some of the characters are convinced they're in the West Wing. Some of the characters are convinced they're actually in oh my god, I forgot the name, House of Cards.
Yeah,
and
right.
At least one of them knows they're in Veep. So it's kind of like it's a broad level political book, but also absolutely an action superhero thriller. It's this kind of like it's one of those great shorthands that you have 4 psychics on the council, I think.
Yeah.
Was it 3? 4 psychics on the council. So anytime you want a quick Quiet Council meeting, you can just quickly pop them into a psychic meeting and halfway through a combat then get back to it. But yeah, honestly, it's like kind of its real thing is I'm just building on everything that's been doing in the office so far. That's kind of the great job of like talking about like what John created in like John's the architect of the Krakoan Age, but part of his actual plan was to build people around him. And I'd heard nothing but wonderful things about the X office and how supportive it was in the environment. So like when they invited me in to do this book specifically, it was like, oh yeah, this sounds interesting. Especially, I mean, the weird thing about the book is that like I'm pretty sure like if John stayed, this is the book he'd probably be writing. It's the political book, you know, this is such a John thing. So I'm very aware that that's the sort of place I'm being brought in at. And it suits me. I mean, this is kind of like the morally compromised people trying to find a way through a situation. That's my bread and butter. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot of fun. And it's weird. It's like obviously you've asked one question. I'm just going to now talk for 10 minutes. But like, you know what I mean?
I'd be disappointed if that wasn't what happened, mate.
It's honestly, it's like some people have had, is it the flagship book? And I reject the concept of flagship books for the XLine, because the XLine is much more like an anarchist commune. That's, and they're all meant to like form a kaleidoscopic image together. But it's a book that's about the high level Krakoan politics, but it's also a book though where all the other books impact it. Like I'm kind of very much want to say, you know, what's going on in like X-Men Red or Marauders reaches here. It's especially because, you know, there's 12 people on the Quiet Council. And one of the minor ideas in it that if somebody is doing another job as well as being on the Quiet Council, they're not in as many meetings. Like, the people always say, how on earth does Logan do all the stuff he does a month? I'm kind of leaning into that. Like, if you've got another book, you've missed that meeting. And that's kind of like, and anybody who's been in an office environment knows that's when people get stabbed. So that's kind of
so
that's part of it.
Yeah, it's so true. What's it like working with your artist on this book, Lucas Werneck?
Lucas is great. It's like it's one of the things that before I came back for Eternals, I've been away from like the Marvel universe for like about 5 years. Like I was doing Star Wars stuff, then just creating my own stuff for a while. And like it seems like there's the artists who are kind of like coming in when I left have now on their full power, and now there's a whole new generation as well coming in. And Lucas is just hot. Like he's kind of like he did amazing work, I thought, in Tron Magneto, but this seems to be another level up. I mean, it's one of the things like when I was working on Dan Moore. I mean, Dan's always been great, you know. He got the Oscar for Best New Talent, didn't he? But you know, like he gets visibly better every issue. And Lucas, I feel like you've got somebody who kind of do like there's so much glamour to what he does. Like there's the book opens with like a flashback to 1919, and you've got like Destiny and Mystique and Sinister meeting in a park circa then, and they're wearing like killer 1920 jazz age looks. You know what I mean? Somebody gets fashion, and of course there's somebody, you know, I work with Jamie, I'm like the glamour of characters in what is kind of a glamorous genre, especially as I said earlier. You know, this is a book about, if the bad version of this book is a bunch of office meetings, you know what I mean? And this is not, you know, and it's not. This is Lucas adds sex appeal and scale and glamour, and likability. You know what I mean? Like even when it's cold, it's warm. That's kind of like, and like it's, as I said, its fashion sense is impeccable. Like when anyone walks in, I'm like, I like that look. You know.
There's so many already, just in the few minutes we've been talking. There's so many great creative touchstones, I think, that you've referenced here. I totally agree about the loose aptitude with glamour. That's such a beautiful way to put it, mate. But also it's that attached to the action of it all, attached to, there are no better touchstones than House of Cards and Veep and West Wing. You know, to apply that to the X-Men universe, that must be a real thrill, actually, mate.
It's honestly like, that's why I'm back to it, because I've got a thing of I don't like repeating myself. So this part, when I brought back to do Eternals, you know, it's because this is something I hadn't done before. I hadn't done a book tying into a movie and done it from the ground up. And like, this is me returning to the X office. Like, you know, I did a run on X-Men, but like 2011 or so. And so it's like a decade ago. I'm a very different creator now. So at least part of the appeal is, oh no, this is a very different X-Men. You know what I mean? And it's like, and so at the same time, there's of all my runs at Marvel, I think X-Men felt like the most unfinished business. Like I have real empathy and love for several characters, and not several characters, you know, almost all the characters. But like, there's definitely like, it's a great joy to get Emma back. You know, like, and it's what the thing I'm doing is, what's also exciting is Emma 10 years on, or like any of these characters 10 years on in a different way. So it's not like, you occasionally see writers pick up their old characters and running. And that's absolutely not me. For me, what's excites me is, this is a new book and this is a completely new place. And it's like, people kind of give me a lot of credit for this, how Sinister has gone in the last decade, which is kind of like, you know, I did what I did, then Jonathan picked up on it, and then everyone seems to like that take. But like, there's been a soft drift of him in that period. Like, my Sinister was explicitly 19th century dandy. You know, I was writing Oscar Wilde, or like, not quite true, but like a Wildean figure, and he's become a little bit more modern Queen mode, and I'm picking up that because that's where he is now, and that's the kind of there's so much I think about the continuity. Continuities are like an ugly word in lots of ways, because some people really find it very important and some people find it buries it alive. When I say continuity, I mean, this is how they were last month, this is how they are this month, and that kind of, the continuity from second to second is the most important part of that. So me picking up from this wonderful place that John's and the rest of the officers set up is a hell of a thing, you know. And I mean, I arrived and did one of my huge documents, and okay, this is my, I've been reading the comics, so I'm like, here are my hot takes on Krakoa. This is what I want to do. Here's what when I look at the situation and go, okay, this is what my brain sees, and then we explode it, and it's like, it's a lot of, and it all integrates together. It's one of those stuff I just kind of have minor ideas of, picked up by other books and have been built, and like where the X office is taking stuff, it's like, I don't know, I have no idea how anyone could take ownership over an idea just because how they've been tossed around and developed into something else. I mean, I'll say one thing actually, like this, my rough plan for the first 12 issues is that each episode will be narrated by a different council member.
Interesting.
Like, you know what I mean? Like the first one, I think I've said the first one's Sinister, you know what I mean? But we kind of build, and it's not just from their perspective, as you see other scenes, but that's kind of my, okay, let's try and keep it like that. And because you get a chance to be inside people's heads. I mean, to go, you know, you're in the room where it happens. You're basically, okay, what are they really thinking? And what do they think? And more importantly, what are they thinking about other people? That's fun. I will abandon that idea the second it gets in the way of the story. But like at the moment, like it's working pretty well.
Yeah, mate, I really can't wait. I was talking to Brevoort the other day, and even though the X office isn't his office, he was really excited by what you were doing and all the X escapades this year. He was really getting pumped by. So I think there's a lot of anticipation for what you're going to bring to the table with this book, Immortal X-Men.
I mean, it's worth noting, and of course, like talking about Tom, is like I've been working with Tom more recently, and this is, you know, Immortal X-Men is part of like Judgment Day, which is, you know, so like taking what we've been doing in Eternals and what we've been doing, all of it kind of builds, and that's the other great joy of the X office being as structured as it is that you can get to a crossover, you know, an event like that, and it's earned. It's like one of the, it's not like it's come out of nowhere. People will start the story and go, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's the reason why an event is happening. So like, it's fun. You know what I mean? I think it's Marvel Comics at its best. You get to sort of like harmonize and jam. Oh, I hate the word jam. Like just trust jam sessions. But you know what I mean? You are
I'm with you.
Playing it with each other. Yeah.
Well, mate, that's very well said. I can't wait to see what you're doing. That is Immortal X-Men #1 by the one and only Kieron Gillen, and with the beautiful art of Lucas Werneck. And you can order it from the links attached to our conversation. Not only that, we've got about 7 different beautiful variant covers of issue 1, all of which you can order here. Thanks for joining me, mate, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
If you're enjoying watching Forbidden Planet TV and you're enjoying watching us talk to the world's most interesting and accomplished filmmakers, authors, artists, musicians, creators, subscribe right here. See you soon.